Guys, Manchester City completely destroyed Liverpool at the Etihad Stadium. The Blue Giants of Manchester just put a performance of 3-0 against the Reds, who are the raging champions of England, by the way, from last season. They just lost 3-0 at the Etihad. And it was, of course, Pep's 1,000th game in charge as a manager, okay? This game versus Liverpool, which he won 3-0. My goodness, I remember the last season, Liverpool visited the Etihad and they actually delivered a 2-0 loss to Manchester City. This time they lost themselves 3-0. My goodness. And then, of course, Barcelona winning 4-2 away at Celta Vigo. But we're going to talk about that later in the video. We'll talk about that hat-trick of Mr. Lewandowski, okay? We're going to talk about that, so please stay tuned. But first of all, let's start with Manchester City versus Liverpool. Now, guys, Manchester City versus Liverpool. Of course, first of all, I'm going to tell you this much. I did not expect a loss like that, okay, to Liverpool from Manchester City. I expected a loss for Liverpool. Maybe a 2-1 loss or a 1-0 loss, okay, or a 3-2 maybe. But 3-0 was absolute, devastation for Liverpool. And this is like their fourth away game in a row in which they're losing in the Premier League. I think that's the record right now. This is their fourth Premier League game in a row. Or away game in general. I don't know which to go with, but that's what's happening with Liverpool right now. Their form is absolutely horrible. And this is actually kind of surprising because Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike, Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong, all these great signings, Mamardashvili, of course. But still, they haven't found a way to play football like they used to do and win games. This is... Now, I'm not saying that it's going to continue like this. Of course, they will improve eventually. But for right now, Liverpool situation is very bad. Very bad. A 3-0 loss to Manchester City, it's not good. It's not looking good for Liverpool so far. And I think that they're going to lose a lot of games this season if they continue with this kind of, route, okay? But guys, you know what? Let's look at the game now. Let's talk about the game. So the game just started, okay? The game started. And there, in the 10th minute, a penalty was given to Manchester City for I don't know what, okay? Was that a dive from Doku? Was that an actual foul from Mamardashvili? There was not enough contact, which I saw, to confirm that that's a penalty, okay? That was not a penalty, guys. I don't know what you say, but that was not a penalty. There are two controversies that happened in this game. One of them is that. And all of them, I think, that happened in the first half. This was not a penalty, guys. This was a dive. There was not enough contact from Mamardashvili to Doku to confirm that this is a penalty. I think that Doku, what he did is that he just, felt a little bit of contact, and then he just lost his balance on purpose. That's what I think, okay? But this was not a penalty. And, of course, Haaland missed the penalty. So that was great news for Liverpool because it could have been even more devastation if he could have, scored. But eventually, Haaland scored in the 29th minute. It didn't matter anyways. And here I want to talk about the defense of Liverpool. My goodness, the defense is very bad. Konate and Van Dijk, they are literally tired right now. All of the goals that were scored, I think that there was big mistakes from the defense of Liverpool. And in this case, it was Konate. What he needed to do is to jump higher than Erling Haaland, who was just behind him. Okay? So Erling Haaland just, jumps and then he puts it inside. And Mamardashvili, what was he doing? He could have saved that. It wasn't even easy save. He could have saved that, but he didn't. Okay? So Erling Haaland scored a header in this game, which is absolutely crazy because normally he doesn't use a header in his arsenal. And after some time, guys, Van Dijk scores a header from a corner. Of course, a corner which was put on by I don't know who, but then McAllister puts it towards Van Dijk and Van Dijk puts it inside the net. And it was overturned because of a VAR decision that Andrew Robertson was offside. So he was distracting Donnarumma, okay? I don't see how was he distracting Donnarumma in that kind of position. But I think, you know what? Okay, we can agree with that was not a goal because the thing is that Robertson, of course, was offside. and he was on the way of the goal. So if he didn't bend like that, he could have hit him, okay? So that's what I'm going with. So I think that that was not a goal. I have to agree with that. That was not a goal, okay? But there is still a controversy out there that that was a goal. It should be given to Liverpool. I don't know, guys. I mean, yeah, whatever. Liverpool lost the game. After that, guys, Nico Gonzalez with a beautiful shot, low shot to the net. And of course, Van Dijk was right there. It hits his ankle, outside of his ankle, and a deflection, and 2-0 Manchester City. Again, the defense is cracking of Liverpool, okay? And then in the second half, my goodness, Doku with that goal, that stunning goal, that's going to be remembered, okay? That's going to be remembered. That is absolutely going to be remembered, guys. Jeremy Doku just scored a beautiful goal yesterday. A beautiful goal, okay? A curler towards the net, okay? And Konate was right there. He could have pressed him. He could have slided. He could have done a tackle. He didn't do anything. So here, from this match, all I need to say is that Liverpool's defense is tired. I think that they needed to invest in the defense of Liverpool rather than going for the attack. They signed 2 strikers this season. They didn't sign a single defender, a central defender, not a fullback, a central defender. They needed one. It was Marc Guehi, but the deal collapsed. So, yeah. But Liverpool's situation is like going from bad to worse right now. Pep's 1,000th game, of course, he won. So good for him. But Liverpool need to change, bro. They need to change. And to be honest, they need to change really fast. Because yesterday, I wasn't seeing anything of Liverpool. They actually kept more possession than Manchester City, if you believe me or not. Like, this is actually true. They kept a possession of 51. And Manchester City kept a possession of 49. Okay? But still, they failed on every single, yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about. But now, guys, let's talk about Football Club Barcelona, which is my favorite club, okay? We played a very good game yesterday in the second half, and not in the first half. In the first half, it was like a back and forth battle between me and Celta Vigo. Because let me just tell you in the 8th minute, a penalty was confirmed because Fermin Lopez shot to the goal of Celta Vigo, and then someone in the penalty box of theirs touched a handball. So it just had to be given as a penalty, okay? And Lewandowski converted that penalty into a goal. A beautiful, not a very beautiful, but it went through the hands of Radu. It touched them a little bit. But then eventually it was a goal, so that was good. After that, Carreira, in the 11th minute, equalizes, okay? And then after that, in the 37th minute, Lewandowski scores a kind of a volley goal, okay? He just, and a beautiful assist, by the way, from Marcus Rashford. He puts it in, and then Lewandowski just touches it in between the legs of the goalkeeper. It was a second goal for us. And then Borja Iglesias, what a banger that was in the 43rd minute. What a banger it was. My goodness. The first half was very much entertaining in this game. And then Lamine Yamal makes it 3-2. He finds the slightest of, space, and then with his right foot he scores. And it makes it 3-2. And then the halftime whistle was, of course, blown. But I have to say one thing. This game, in the first half, we were not that good. We were being exposed. I'm talking about the high line, by the way. I'm talking about the high line. The high line was not working that well. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. And there was a man called Iago Aspas who came in the second half as a substitute. In the, I don't know which minute, but he came in the second half, in the late minutes of the game. If he could have started this game, it could have been like a little bit, a problem for us. Because he is a passer. So he could have released his men, his players, and yeah, we could have been done from the high line. But the high line was not working, guys. There are some moments when the high line was broken up, but they were just not connecting the passes to score a goal. But Lewandowski scored a brace in the first half. But in the second half, of course, Lewandowski with the 4th goal, okay, in the 73rd minute, And another assist cooked by Marcus Rashford. And my goodness, what a header. That was a header from a corner. Okay, Rashford takes the corner, and then what a header. That right there just proved that class is permanent, bro. Lewandowski is 37 years old right now, and he is still scoring hat tricks. This is just proof. Like, it's just proof that class is permanent, bro. That header was amazing. And it was kind of like the perfect hat trick for Lewandowski. But after this, the game was almost over. We played a very good game in the second half, as I said. The high line was working very well. We were not allowing too many passes to pass through so that they can beat the high line. It wasn't happening. But in the first half, it was. But it's still, that doesn't mean that the high line does not need to go away. It needs to go away, okay? It needs to go away. But guys, we played a very good game. Mr. Lewandowski scored a hat trick, so it was a good performance from him and from Barcelona at all. And yeah, I mean, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you did. If you didn't, so please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.